I'm about to read Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus. I am really excited to read this book, especially because I hear that it's really funny, which is great because Ruthless Vows broke my heart. Watch the video if you haven't already. And so I just need, something to just kind of cheer me up from such a sad event that happened. And this is the perfect pick for that. And so my expectations for this book, I would say, are honestly pretty high because it's a Heather's pick. It has all these awards and it's very popular. From my understanding of this book, it's focused a lot on equality, and it starts off in the 1960s. And so the main character, she's I think she works as a chemist in an all-male industry, and so she eventually falls in love, but then I think she gets I think he leaves her because later on she becomes a single mother, and she's doing a cooking show where she uses her chemistry knowledge to kind of teach women not only how to cook, but also to change the status quo of the time period that they're in. So I'm really excited to read this, so let's crack it open. So I'm about 100 pages into Lessons in Chemistry and thought I'd share my thoughts with you at the moment. I love the way that this book is written and the different perspectives of the characters that you get to see. I think that it's written in a really cool way. I really like the understanding the time period about how it was really hard for her, Elizabeth, to be a woman in science, and how there's a lot of hardship that comes with it, but I love her determination. She pushes through it, she powers through it, she stands up for herself, and she's not real. Well, maybe she is real. I think this might be based on a real story, but either way, I love her. I think she's great. I will put a disclaimer that there is definitely a trigger warning for this book. There is an SA scene that happens in it, and also mentions of suicide. So I just want to put that disclaimer out there in case that's something that you're not comfortable with reading. So that is in the book. So what I really like, so where I'm at right now, so it kind of started with where Elizabeth is in present day kind of thing, with her cooking show, and then it goes back in time to everything that led up to that moment. So I'm still kind of in her back in time thing, but I got to the part where I understand why she's a single mom, and it made me sad. It made me really sad. So I really love just the way when you're back in time and you're watching the way she interacts with people, what the environment is oh, her and Calvin, so cute together. I absolutely love that, and they just make each other better. And the introduction of 630 is one of my favorite characters. I don't know if you ever watched Spy Family, but in the show there's a dog who's very similar to 630, the dog who kind of has the police kind of background and was deemed not fit to do his job. And so I love that we actually get the perspective of 630, the dog, and what he's thinking and what he's seeing. I think that's just so much fun, and I really love just that addition in there. And I also really like that although the book is a very serious topic, it's written in a really fun casual way. It doesn't take itself too seriously. So Elizabeth and Calvin, they can say the most ridiculous things that people in real life would never say. They talk to each other in formulas and stuff, and I doubt people actually talk like that. But the book, the way that it's done, it's just it just makes sense, and it's not pretentious or annoying. It's just the perfect balance, and it's silly, it doesn't take itself too seriously, but it also takes itself seriously. And so I think that's just the essence of a good author who can balance that. Come on, we get the perspective of a dog. It's beautiful. So I'm gonna continue reading. I'm very excited to see where Elizabeth's story goes. Right now, everything seems to just be going downhill. She's about to have her baby. There's so much happening, and I'm really excited to find out what happens next, get caught up to present time, and I just want to see her kick some butt, you know? I just finished Lessons in Chemistry and I had such a fun time reading this book. I think one of the best ways that I can describe this book, it's like the Barbie movie, except there's chemistry in it, and science. So like it has like those really strong like feminist characters and it's like empowering women, like it has that really great message, but it's also like that perfect balance of like serious and funny, which again, like the Barbie movie. The writing is so well done. Like you can tell the author knows how to write, and I read her little blurb at the end, and like she is a professional copywriter, which is pretty cool because like that's me as well. And it's really, you can really tell just like in the way that she writes stuff, like all of the characters, they had their own personalities, like they made decisions, and like there are some characters as well, like they didn't like each other because of like they didn't understand each other, then eventually like they became friends at the end. And like some characters like, oh yeah, like this person is just like, they're just like one of the acquaintances, or like they're known, like everybody, basically what I'm trying to say is every single character felt like a real human being, which is so great. And like it's just, it was so much fun. And I like that the book, like I mentioned, I think that one of the best parts of the book is that it didn't take itself super seriously. Like you get the perspective of the dog 630, which I mentioned before. I love 630. You have like this super genius Elizabeth who I don't think anybody actually talks like that, but like she's just so entertaining and I love her. And then like her daughter Mad, I think she's what, like 4 years old? Like that's like the smartest 4-year-old in the world, and I don't know like how accurate that actually is, if that is a possibility for like a really smart 4-year-old to be like Mad is. But either way, it's super enjoyable. I love that kind of dynamic. They're just like super smart, super practical, and they're just so much fun to like read about. I also like that you end up getting all of the story, like it's all kind of like wrapped up. So like stuff that maybe some of the characters didn't know like 10 years ago, it finally kind of comes to a conclusion. And so all the characters like understand like, oh, this happened with that, and this person who is mentioned is actually this person, and this happened because of that. So I like that all of the stories like interconnected and like weave together, even like the small things too, like the Rowan scholarship, like that was so cool, like why that made sense and like how that worked. And of course we can't not talk about this book without talking about like the serious aspect of it, and how well it was done, and like how well it was handled, because it wasn't like in your face, like, oh yeah, like women, we're the best. It was like, we're facing these issues because of X, Y, and Z, and we're trying to break out of that because like we're humans as well, and like we shouldn't be treated like second class like people. And so I think that the way it was done was just so well done that I really liked it. It was really just, yeah, it was great. I think the only thing that I didn't really like was how rushed the ending felt. Like the book was paced really well, like in the beginning and the middle, but when it started got towards the end, I felt like it was suddenly just like really fast. And I wish that there was like an epilogue of sorts, because it kind of ends on a little bit of like a cliffhanger. It was like, ooh, what's gonna happen? But I would love if there was like an epilogue at the end that was like 10 years later, this is where Elizabeth is, this is what Mad's up to, like this is like what happened to these characters, like Harriet and like all of them, like all the friends, all the characters who like made their mark with Elizabeth, and like her family and her found family, like the whole found family aspect was just so great. Yeah, but I just wish that there was an epilogue and that maybe that the end didn't feel so like, yeah, but other than that, like, it was great. So I'm going to award this book 4.5 stars. I was debating between 4 or 5, but like, it's a good book, but I don't think it's like 5 stars good, but it's not 4 stars either, because 4 stars just feels like too low in the scale. So we got that happy middle here where we got 4.5 stars. So that's the rating that I'm gonna give it, and I feel good about that rating. You know, sometimes, like, if I continue to think about this book, I may consider raising the rating, because there's some books that, like, you read it and they're good, and then you keep on thinking about them, and then, like, they somehow get even better, and then you're like, you know what, it's actually a 5 star. So if I decide if it ends up going up, then I'll definitely kind of update that. So yeah, thanks so much for coming on the ride with me to read lessons in chemistry. If you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell notification. That way you get notified anytime a new video comes out. As you can tell, a lot of these videos are about books and vlogs and talking about books and reading books and books in general. So if you like books, then don't forget to hit subscribe. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button. And yeah, so with that, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!